the CDG BizCast. I'm your host, Christian Gonzalez, co-owner of Creativity Design Group, a digital marketing firm in Houston, Texas. Today we will be discussing a scary scam that targets both individuals and businesses known as data breach extortion. Data breach extortion is when someone receives an email from a so-called hacker and they claim that they have hacked their website via a security breach, stolen all of the website's database, and will use the information they have stolen for nefarious purposes. They will claim that they will contact all of the victim's clients or friends and start spreading lies about them to paint a negative image of the victim in all of their clients' and friends' eyes. Then they will claim that in order to prevent this from happening, they will demand that their victim pay crazy amounts of money to them to stop it, usually in Bitcoin. It is a form of ransom and blackmail, and we are going to share some examples of this scam, including one we received here at CDG and one that targeted our panelists. Who is joining me today? Joining me today is my awesome consumer panelist in the United Kingdom, Sara Russell, who is here to share with us her own personal experience receiving one of these scam emails. Welcome, Sara. It's great to have you on BizCast once again. Welcome back.
Hello, Christian and your listeners. It's great to be back.
And it's always a pleasure to have you on our show to discuss different topics. You always have a lot of great insight to share and wonderful examples. Now, today we're going to share two examples of this scam. One, as I mentioned, that targeted us here at CDG, and then you also received an email from a scammer that was similar to the one that we received as well, correct?
That is correct, yes. Definitely.
To help our listeners understand this email scam better, I am going to read the example one that we received. We received it back in March, and it did put me on edge for a little bit. However, I was able to get everything clarified later, which I'll talk about in just a minute. But to help our listeners spot these emails so that they do not fall for the scam, I'm going to go ahead and read the one that we received. The one that we received at CDG targeted one of the websites that we own, HoustonSmallBizDirectory.com. It is an online business directory for small businesses to list their information on. It's completely free. We don't charge anything for them to use it, and they can list their business, they can upload photos, and the email that we received targeted this exact website. So I'm going to go ahead and read it. Here we go. It starts off by saying, "We have hacked your website, HoustonSmallBizDirectory.com, and extracted your databases." Then it asks, "How did this happen?" They reply, "Our team has found a vulnerability within your site that we are able to exploit. After finding the vulnerability, we were able to get your database credentials and extract your entire database and move the information to an offshore server." Then they ask, "What does this mean?" They reply, "We will systematically go through a series of steps of totally damaging your reputation. First, your database will be leaked or sold to the highest bidder, which they will use with whatever their intentions are. Next, if there are emails found, they will be emailed that their information has been sold or leaked and your site, HoustonSmallBusinessDirectory.com, was at fault, thusly damaging your reputation and having angry customers and associates with whatever angry customer associates do. Lastly, any links that you have indexed in the search engines will be de-indexed based off of black hat techniques that we use in the past to de-index our targets." Next, they ask, "How do I stop this?" They reply, "We are willing to refrain from destroying your site's reputation for a small fee. The current fee is $3,000 in Bitcoins. Send the Bitcoin to the following Bitcoin address," and then they have a Bitcoin address listed. Then the next paragraph says, "Once you have paid, we will automatically get informed that it was your payment. Please note that you have to make payment within 5 days after receiving this email, or the database leak, emails dispatch, and the index of your site will start." Then they ask, "How do I get Bitcoin?" They reply, "You can easily buy Bitcoins via several websites or even offline from a Bitcoin ATM." Then they ask, "What if I don't pay?" They reply, "We will start the attack at the indicated date and uphold it until you do. There's no countermeasure to this. You will only end up wasting more money trying to find a solution. We will completely destroy your reputation amongst Google and your customers. This is not a hoax. Do not reply to this email. Don't try to reason or negotiate. We will not read any replies. Once you have paid, we will stop what we were doing and you will never hear from us again. Please note that Bitcoin is anonymous and no one will find out that you have complied." And that ends the email. That concludes the email right there. So as you can see, the email is full of a lot of threats, and at first glance it does look rather scary. It looks extremely scary, and I have consulted with a cybersecurity expert about this email, and he informed me that this is just a scam and they're just doing this to extort money out of the victims. It's not real. They have not stolen anything, and I'm going to talk more about that in just a minute. But Sara, what did your email that you received say, and how did it make you feel after you read it? Please share with us.
Yeah, I mean, firstly, yours is like, your one's just scaremongering, isn't it? It was totally scaremonger. That was the whole idea, to scare you as a businessman into worrying about they're going to take all of my business directory details of all these businesses that have joined for free. I mean, it's awful. It's terrible. These people, it's disgusting. They make me sick. Okay, right. Moving on to mine then. This is mine. I received mine in March, funny enough. And mine says, "Hello, Sara." And it's got my full name. "You are in big trouble. However, don't panic right away. Listen to me first, because there is always a way out. You are now on the radar of an international group of hackers, and such things never end well for anyone. I'm sure you've heard of Anonymous. Well, compared to us, they are a bunch of schoolboys. We are a worldwide network of several thousand professionals, each with their own role. Someone hacks corporate and government networks. Someone cooperates with intelligence agencies on the most delicate tasks. And someone, including me, deals with people like you to maintain the infrastructure of our group. What kind of people like me? That is the question you're probably asking yourself now. People who like to watch highly controversial, and they go quite disgusting, so I'm not going to read anymore. That one. Okay, in order to leave you without any doubts, I'll explain how I found it out. 2 months ago, my colleagues and I installed spyware software on your computer, then gained access to all of your devices, including your phone. This was easy through one of the pop-ups. It says, "I think you already understand that we would not write to any ordinary man who watches." And then it goes, I can't read any more there. So after accessing your phone and computer and cameras, we saw that it was not nice. That whole section is not nice, so I'm not reading it out. But it says, "You're lucky today because I'm not a sadist who enjoys other people's suffering. Only money matters to me. Here is your salvation. You must transfer $1,490 in Bitcoin to this BTC cryptocurrency wallet." And there is a whole random bunch of numbers and letters, which I assume is a link. "You have exactly 48 hours to make the payment. So think less, do more. As soon as I receive confirmation of the transaction, I will delete all the content and permanently disable our computer worm. Believe me, I always abide by gentlemen's agreements, even with people who are hardly gentlemen, because it's nothing personal, just business. If I do not receive a payment, I will send all videos and all your messages and emails to all your loved ones and anyone you've ever contacted. Your life will be ruined, and most likely only a tightened noose around your neck will be able to save the day. If you haven't dealt with crypto before, I suppose it won't be difficult for you to figure it all out. Simply type in the crypto exchange into the search bar and pay with a credit card. Besides, based on your browser history, you are a savvy user. When you want to, you can dig into the darkest depths of the internet. So I'm sure you'll be able to find out what is what. Here is what my colleagues and I should warn you against. Do not reply to this email. Do you really think we're that stupid to be tracked by an email address? This is a temporary disposable email. As soon as I clicked send, it was gone for good. Forget about law enforcement authorities. As soon as I see that you're trying to contact them, compromising material will be published. Remember, I have access to all your devices and I can track every movement. Do not reset your devices to factory settings. Do not try to get rid of your devices. It won't help you in any way. Look above. My all-seeing eye is watching all your actions. It's easy to hunt you down. I'm sorry that we met in such circumstances. Probably everything could be different if you'd been more careful about what you were doing on the internet. Watch yourself from now on, because even us will be watching you and we will destroy your life in the future like a butterfly effect. I hope this is goodbye forever. However, it depends on you. P.S. The countdown is on. The choice is yours. Now, how vile is that?
Honestly, I think that your email sounds several times scarier than the one that I received. That's some nightmare level material right there. That sounds like something straight out of a horror movie. It's one thing to have all your personal information stolen, but for them to claim that they're watching your every move and that you have no escape route, I don't have any words for that. That's just sickening. That's just pure...
They sent that email, Christian, from my cloned own email address, my personal email address. So it was from me, but it wasn't me. So it was from my own email address. They'd spoofed my email address and sent it to me, to my own email.
The email that I received came from this address, hacked@houstonsmallbizdirectory.com. So they pretty much did the same thing with mine as well. They sent the email using the fake address at the website that they claim they hacked. But regardless of that, the threats are scary. I mean, after you read that whole email, what was your immediate reaction?
First time, I was scared, very scared. I was pooping myself, to be honest. I was quite scared. Yeah, scared, and I didn't know what to do. What am I supposed to do? Where do I go? Who do I contact? It says in there, don't contact anyone. So what do I do? I just didn't know what to do. I didn't know where to start. So yeah, I was scared.
I don't blame you for being scared at all. And then for other people out there who are not as well versed on scams like you and me are, they're going to be scared to the point that they'll give in, that they will send them all that money. And I want to talk about a few tips to help stay safe and to help keep the public safe. Now, the first thing you should do is ignore the threats. When they say do not contact anybody, that's just their way of trying to social engineer you, to manipulate you into thinking that your only choice is to send them money. They don't want you calling law enforcement or anybody else, because law enforcement is going to tell them that it's a scam. Even if they can't track them down, that's still going to foil their scam, because at that point their victim is convinced that they don't have to send any money. And that's the one thing that they are trying to keep their victims from doing, is learning the truth. And secondly, whenever you're in doubt about anything like this, you should contact a cybersecurity expert and ask them what they think about this, because they will be able to shine some light on what's truly going on. Right after I got the email, I contacted a few people. First, immediately, I contacted the hosting company that where HoustonSmallBizDirectory.com is hosted at, and I told them what was going on. I read the email to them word for word, and they had me forward it over to their fraud department so they could look into it. But on top of that, they were also able to reassure to me that nobody hacked the databases to the website. That website was never touched. The databases were never hacked. They were never stolen. They were able to look into this really deeply, and they were able to confirm with me that the entire contents of that email was a total lie. The hacker said in the email, quote, "This is not a hoax." I think we can all take it as a rule of thumb that whenever anybody tells us that something is not a hoax or is not a scam up front, then that's an admission that it is indeed a scam. I see it all the time. Anytime someone has to tell you that whatever they're pulling is not a scam, that's basically them admitting that it is a scam. Why would they have to tell you that up front without you asking, right?
Exactly. Total scam.
Now, after you received your email, did you contact anybody even though they told you not to, or did you speak with anybody else about it?
Yeah, I did. Over here we have a company that's connected to the police, the Metropolitan Police, called Action Fraud. So anybody who's based in the UK, if you get anything that's scam, they're asking for money, romance scamming, any scamming at all, you send them to Action Fraud. You have to create an account if you want them to investigate, which I've done. And they actually took on board. I'm now one of the many people within a whole mass of scams which is connected. Because my scam is similar to the ones they're already investigating, my one's been added to the collection. So there's, I think they said about 30 or 40 people where they're investigating all 40 of those, and they're trying to sort them out. The trouble they're having, which they've told me, is because that my email, or the email that this has come from, is a spoofed email of my own one. They can't investigate that email address because it's mine. It's spoofed. So they can't go back any further. I mean, with all the technology they've got, they can't go back further on mine. But the email as a whole is very similar to others they've received. So they've just added mine to that. So I've got to contact them because I'm now classed as a victim of fraud. So I'm now a victim. So I now have victim support if I need it. But because I belong to such a fantastic scam baiting community, as well as Christian does, we're sort of like look after each other and we know how these scams work. So I knew I don't need victim support because I've got a big network of friends and people who can advise me anyway, and all the great scam baiters we watch on YouTube, etc. So that's how my case stands. So it's still open, but my email is added to the 30 or 40 other which they're investigating, which could take some time because most of these are coming from anywhere, from Nigeria to India. I mean, the list goes on. We know I mean, Christian can tell you, listeners, where these places are. We hear it all the time.
Yes, we do. We get reports of this scam all the time, and even Trilogy Media did a video about a business owner who fell victim to this scam. They released this video a while back, and it was a really scary ordeal because they claimed that they were stealing all of his business files, and it basically crippled his business because the victim also felt compelled to send the scammer this money, worried that the hackers had stolen all of his files needed to operate his business and therefore crippled his business. It was a very scary ordeal for him, and we don't want to see other business owners or consumers fall into this trap. It's important to remember that if you get any email that makes threats like this, the number one most important thing to remember is that it is a scam. The email may sound terrifyingly scary with all these threats of them saying they've stolen your information. They're going to ruin your life by making you look bad in front of all your friends and clients, and that they're watching your every move. Yes, these are some terrifying threats, but remember, they're just words. You get an email that claims anything like this, it's always going to be a scam all the time, and it's important to remember that anytime someone tells you it's not a hoax, not a scam, it is a scam, they just admitted it right there that it's a scam, and you can just send the email to spam. And most importantly, do not interact with the person. Don't reply to them. Do not send them anything. In general, it should be a rule of thumb. Never send money to strangers who just contact you out of the blue, regardless of how scary their threats are. And this is true especially for other types of scams out there too that target people. When you get phone calls from people claiming to be that they're with the Social Security Administration and that they're going to have you arrested if you don't pay them a certain amount of money. The Social Security Administration does not work that way. The Social Security Administration will never call you, threaten you with jail time if you don't make a payment. That's just an outright scam right there. A lot of times these scammers use social engineering, and this extortion email scam that we're discussing seems to be one of the scariest scams out there that are targeting innocent victims. I mean, it must have traumatized you for a while, and I know it also had me on edge because I wasn't sure what was going on.
Agreed, yeah.
What would you like to tell all our listeners out there about your own personal experience?
Okay, so for me, when I first received that email, I was scared. I was really scared. I went all hot, first of all. My pulse was racing. I was thinking, oh my God, something's happened. People have got into my computer. What am I going to do? I've been hacked and all this. And then I thought, firstly, I thought, right, I'm going to have to reset my whole computer, so I've lost everything. And then I thought, whoa, hold on. This is probably a scam. You've watched loads and loads of videos on YouTube and you follow loads and loads of scam baiters. This is the sort of thing they've looked at before, so you know that something's not right. It don't matter that it was really, really scary, it was asking for Bitcoin and all that sort of thing. It was still scary. So I thought, right, what do I do first? Luckily for me, this email actually went into junk mail. It didn't go in my normal mail. So it was only when I went into my junk I saw this. So my computer had already filtered it out as a junk mail, although it was my own email address. So I knew there had to be something wrong anyway. But yeah, it was scary. So I thought, what do I do? What do I do? So then I thought I'm going to leave it for tonight because I'm not in that frame. I was all over the shop. I thought I'll have a look tomorrow. So tomorrow, the first thing right in my head, right, what am I going to do? I know. First of all, I sent the email to our friends at Trilogy. But because it was a spam one, it rejected it because they have Guardio. So it just kicked it out and thought that my email was a spam one because the attachment was spam. So they actually didn't receive that. So I thought, well, what can I do now? Right, I need to get some screenshots just in case this email disappears for some reason. So I got some screenshots just in case as like evidence. And then I thought, right, now, I can't report it to Google because they're rubbish. When you try and report anything, you can only report as phishing, sexual content, and all that stuff on there. You can't do it as a spam. You can't report it as a spam or a scam email. But the email address is mine, so I don't know how I could have reported my own email address as being a scam when it was cloned anyway. So I thought, right, what can I do? And that's when I contacted Action Fraud. It took them a while to get back to me, probably about a week. So I just put down everything that was on the email. Because I had to hand type it in. There wasn't enough room for me to write the whole email. So I just done the main bits of the email that they'll want to know about. And because of the link that the email had given, it didn't work anyway, because the Action Fraud said they tried the link on the cryptocurrency bit that they sent with all the numbers and the letters, and it didn't exist. So I don't know how they would have expected me to pay, if I was gullible, to pay that for Bitcoins anyway, because the link wasn't working. But it could have been that they turned it off, or the police, they already knew that something was wrong, so they shut it off from their end. I don't know. But I think if I received a similar thing next time, I'd know straight away it was a scam and it was a hoax, because I've had this one, but I've never had one as bad as this before. So I think this is probably one of the worst scam, insulting Bitcoin pleas I've ever had. Yeah, quite scary. And a lot of the bits, because obviously I couldn't read all of it because of the content, it's not very good. It's quite disgusting, actually. That's why I couldn't actually. It's insulting and it's disgusting. So I couldn't read all of that to you. So, I mean, really, to be honest, anyone out there, just be vigilant. You can see, as they've duplicated my email address, so straight away I knew something weren't right. But if it had been a different email on there, I might have been more scared, because it wouldn't have triggered anything. I wouldn't have thought this could be real. But they actually put my own email address in. So that's where alarm bells sort of started ringing. Only the next day, because the first day I was just like, so, as I said, I was so shocked and, I just couldn't believe what I was reading. But, for anyone else who does get those, take a moment. Don't get all scared on that, first of all. Yeah, you're going to be scared when you get them, but don't be too scared. Take a moment. So leave it for the next day. Nothing's going to happen to you. Just leave it for the next day, and with a clear head, have another look at this email. Have a look, see the email address. Is there anything dodgy about that? But anything, as Christian said, that's asking you for Bitcoins out of the blue and threatening you, which they are empty threats at the end of the day, but they want money and Bitcoins for empty threats. Just report them wherever you can. Christian said get someone, some cyber person to help. Even friends. Your friends can tell your friends, say, look, I've got this. What do you think of this? Or your boss. Hello, boss. Look, I've received this. Should I be worried? And, more, I'm going to say 99% out of 100, your friends and your bosses are going to say, look, it's nothing to worry about, but let's report it to someone. As long as you report it to someone, you have then made the effort to try and stop these sort of scams. Because this is the whole idea of the awareness. It's all about scam awareness. All, Christians, podcast, BizCast, are all about awareness and being vigilant and, just staying safe online. So yes, that's what I'd say.
Yes, you did all the right things that all consumers should do should they have concerns or doubts. And when it comes to the business side of things, if you receive one of these emails threatening your business, especially if it's one of your websites, because they're most likely going to be targeting either your company website or any website that you own in general, the first thing to do is contact your hosting company like we did here at CDG and have them do a full malware scan, have them inspect your account for any possible hacking attempts. They have the ability to trace who tried to log into your account. They can also see if any files were tampered with, as well as any databases. Make sure that they have all that checked out. As a business owner, your website is one of your most important tools, and you want to make sure that it has stellar security to ensure that information is not stolen from it and that it is hacker-proof. Make sure that you have an SSL certificate installed on your website. An SSL certificate ensures that any data that is transmitted over your website is secure. From the consumer standpoint, remember this: if you're browsing the web and you see a website that is not secure, look up in the address bar, look in the upper left-hand corner of the address bar, and you will see a padlock that either says it's secure, it's usually green, and if it's not secure, it will outright say not secure up there, and it'll show a red padlock with a line through it. It looks different depending on what browser you use, but that's how you indicate if a website that you're currently browsing is secure or not. You do not use any websites that show not secure. These websites will not be able to handle your data securely, and if you're putting in ultra-sensitive information through a website like this, chances are it is going to get stolen. I'm talking about credit cards, social security numbers. Do not fill out any forms in general email on a website that shows it is not secure. Whether it's ultra-sensitive information or just general information, do not interact with said websites. And businesses, if you have a website that is not secure, make sure that you get it secure right away, because this is a major security risk. You're opening up doors for all sorts of legal trouble should your website get compromised and the information stolen. And on top of that, not having SSL is a Google ranking factor. It's been a ranking factor with them ever since 2018. They all require you to have SSL on your websites. Without SSL, anytime someone pulls up your website, it's going to show on Google Chrome, and of course on other browsers, but especially on Google Chrome, that your website is not secure. Even if you don't have anything malicious on your website, it is going to show it is not secure. This will hurt your rankings on Google, and it'll also scare potential customers away. So you want to make sure that your website has SSL on it. I'm going to talk about some more website security tips at the end of the episode, but I also do want to mention that after I called the hosting company after receiving the email threatening HoustonSmallBizDirectory.com, the next person I called after that was our cybersecurity expert, Pierre, who you may remember from episode 50. Pierre was able to also reassure to me after his years of working in the cybersecurity field that this email scam is extremely common and it's full of empty threats. There's nothing to worry about. Nothing's going to happen. Just like what the hosting company said, he also told me that they didn't steal anything from the website. The databases are safe and you don't have to worry about any action being taken against you. It's all just one big hoax for them to extort money out of you. They're trying to basically bleed you dry. Never interact with a scammer. Never interact with a stranger who's making threats towards you. Never send money to somebody you don't know. If total strangers call you or email you asking you for money or demanding money from you, send it to spam. Do not consult with them, and if you can, report it to the proper authorities. Unfortunately, here in the US, we don't have action fraud, and the FBI never really seems to take scams very seriously here. So our only recourse is to just report it to whoever we can to get some clarification over what's going on. In this case, when it comes to websites, you can report it to your hosting company so they can investigate to make sure that nothing was tampered with. In my case, Houston Small Biz Directory was never tampered with, as confirmed by the hosting company. They did ask me to forward them a copy of the email so they could investigate it further, but at the bare minimum, none of the websites on my account were tampered with. And Sarah, you have nothing to worry about yourself. Your scam was also nothing but empty threats as well, so nobody's done anything to you. Action Fraud is trying their best to investigate whatever is going on with this email, even though they can't exactly trace the email back, but they're still working on it. So in the end, it looks like that we could walk away from these scams without having to worry about anything. We can sleep easy at night.
Yeah, I think just a little bit wiser as well.
Oh, yes.
I think we're just a little bit wiser. You know, if we get another one like that again, we'd be like, not again. We won't be scared. We'll just be like, oh, not another one. They're trying it on again.
Exactly. And the more you send these messages to spam as they come in, the better that your spam filters will start to recognize them regardless of who sends them. I know that Gmail is pretty good about that. In fact, I've gotten so many scam messages over the years to both the business and the personal account that I just never see them. The spam filters catch them just like that, and then before you know it, they're in spam, and then Gmail automatically deletes all spam messages after 30 days. So the most invasive of spam you never get to see. If you really want to make sure that you never see them again, make sure you keep marking them as spam. The more you mark them as spam, the easier it will be for Gmail to send them to spam. Anytime they see something that looks remotely like the initial message that you sent, the better chances it will get sent to spam automatically and you never see it. That's the most important thing, keeping your inbox clean.
Outlook's very good for that as well. Microsoft Outlook, that's what I use. They're very good for putting things straight in junk mail. Then when you delete them and you mark them as phishing or whatever, you don't tend to them back. You can block that as well. There's a function on there. You just tap on block the email, and then you don't tend to get them. But as my one was my own email address, I can't block it because it's my own email address.
Unfortunately, spoofing emails is not something that anybody can stop on their own accord. There's really no way to stop that, and the same also goes with phone spoofing as well. Scammers do like to use spoof phone numbers to pretend that they're with Microsoft or the IRS or whoever it is they want to impersonate, and this leads people to believe that this call is legitimate and they answer the phones. So you have to be very, very careful who you talk to. If you ever receive an email impersonating one of these companies or agencies, the best thing to do is just to not respond and call up the company and contact them asking them if it's real. And even if it's a phone call, for example, if you get a phone call saying that it's from Microsoft, instead of answering it, look up Microsoft's number, call it, and then ask them if the phone call that you received was legitimate. And they're most likely going to confirm with you that it's not. Usually companies only call you when you're expecting a call back from them. Maybe you've sent in a support ticket and you're awaiting a call from them. That's really the only time that these companies will ever call you. They will never just call you out of the blue, tell you that your computer's broken and you need to send them $1,000 to have it repaired. Those are just some more tips to help you write these things off as scams. I would like to conclude this episode by sharing some tips on how business owners can keep their website secure. Now, to keep your website secure, aside from having an SSL certificate, if you're using WordPress, make sure that you have all of your plugins up to date, your themes up to date, your WordPress core up to date. Having all this stuff up to date fixes bugs, and it also closes major security holes that may have been discovered, because development teams are always actively looking for bugs and security holes and security breaches where a hacker could exploit them and in reality steal all of your information or shut down your website. Now, on top of keeping your website secure, business owners need to practice these same tips for all their devices. When it comes to your computers and your phones, your tablets, make sure your operating systems are up to date. Always keep them up to date regularly. Keep all of your apps up to date. Make sure that you use passwords that are very hard for hackers to guess. It's always recommended to use a password that you cannot remember, one that is a mix of capital letters, numbers, and symbols, but not actual words. And then, of course, you could use a password manager to remember it for you and then write them down as well. And make sure when you're browsing, and this is a tip that I expect business owners and consumers to follow, use a VPN when browsing the internet. A VPN will protect all of your sensitive data from hackers. So if anybody tries to hack your computer, a VPN serves as an extra layer of security to keep them out. They will not be able to access any sensitive information that you're inputting into forms online, such as credit card information, your address, your phone number, your social security information. Always browse with a VPN when possible. NordVPN is a good one to use, and Surfshark is also pretty good. And then if you have McAfee antivirus, some of their plans include a VPN as well. So these are just some general security tips that business owners and consumers should follow if they want to have a more secure digital life. Now, Sara, would you like to share anything as we close out this episode to all of our listeners that we did not get to cover?
Probably just one sort of thing, I guess, really. Well, a couple, really. When you get these sort of scams, emails or telephone calls or whatever, don't be scared. That's one thing I think myself and obviously Christian, probably we got a little bit scared that it actually was real. So it fooled us, even though we've watched scam videos and, scam betas and all that since 2019. We've both still got caught out the fact that actually could have been real. But really, if we thought about it with our YouTube heads on, we would have known that they were actually fake ones. And also to both business owners and consumers, mainly, whenever you're surfing the internet, each day, clear your browser history. Every day, make it a thing from all your devices. Just clear your browsing history, because that's the best thing you can do to stay safe from scammers and hackers, if they manage to get into your accounts. There's a lot of information they won't be able to get, especially if you've bought things online. Say, put your credit card details in, and then you've moved and you're playing a game online or something like that. You need to clear your browsing history so that that doesn't stay in your computer's history or your device's history. So, and just be vigilant. Like Christian's always saying, be vigilant whenever you're on the internet. It's a good thing. It also can be a bad thing. So just stay safe.
Yes, doing your due diligence on everything that you encounter is very important, both as a business owner and consumer. And I would also like to share one more final tip. Business owners, make sure that you keep backups of your website regularly. Choose a hosting company that does backups over certain periods of time. Some of them do it daily, some of them do it monthly, but make sure you always have backups of your website. Even if you have a hosting plan that does not include backups, you can always download your website to your computer and keep local copies of it, just in case you ever need to restore an older version of your website. And business owners and consumers, I encourage you to also make backups of your most important files as well. I recommend using cloud-based storage, such as OneDrive or Google Drive or Dropbox. We use OneDrive here at CDG. We keep all of our client files on OneDrive. We keep all of our design assets on there and several other business documents, all on OneDrive. It's not saved locally on the computer. It's on OneDrive. So if anything were to ever happen to our main computer, all of our files would still exist. Not just a hacking attempt, but maybe the computer breaks or we have to reinstall Windows, something along those lines. All of our client data is always going to exist. So we save all of your designs that we make for you because we want to make sure that all of our hard work is protected and that we're able to pull it up on another computer should our main one go down. I do encourage business owners and consumers to save their most important files on cloud-based storage. That's the easiest way to prevent your files from getting lost due to a hacking attempt or if your computer gets broken or anything occur like that. But yes, Sara, thank you very much for joining me on BizCast. This was a wonderful episode. Thank you for sharing your example and all the tips you have for all of our listeners. I hope you have a great day, and I wish you and everybody out there safe browsing.
Thank you, Christian. You're welcome, and stay safe, everyone out there.